Hi, I'm Jake Novotny. I'm the head football coach at Fountain Fort Carson High School, just a couple minutes south of Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm going to be talking today about organizing, implementing, and drilling your special teams. And really, I'm going to be focusing on the aspect of things that you guys can use no matter what scheme you do, okay? Because I think there's a lot of things that kind of cross over that can be used at any time during the year, whether it's summer, whether it's fall time. Okay, and really the focus of this is going to be how you organize it, okay, and then how do you implement it into a practice schedule, and then what are some drills that are really you can do in a way that are going to get your most bang for your buck, okay? So again, my background here is, again, I've been the head coach of Fountain Fort Carson since 2016. Prior to that, I was at CSU Pueblo. That's really where I kind of got to grow my special teams knowledge and love. Before that, I was at Augustana College in Illinois for a brief minute, and then I was at assistant coach at Heritage High School before that, where I was involved in all levels of football. Okay, so let's talk about organizing special teams, all right? And when I say organize, I mean the administrative things that go into it to make it be something that's important to your program. So how do you do that? Well, one, you got to have a philosophy and stick to it. Are you going to play young guys, or are you going to play your best players, right? Well, for us, the success has been that we've done a little bit of both. Those young guys that we really believe can contribute, maybe they're not ready to start yet, but that's a great place for them. Then also, when you get into the playoffs, your best guy's got to be running down on kickoff to make a tackle. And so, we really kind of believe in both. What will you emphasize and how will you emphasize it, right? So what does that mean? I put championship belt there. Everybody's done this nowadays. We got a special teams championship belt. Special teams player of the week gets that. The guy who makes a big hit or something, or a big play on the sideline, gets to go grab the championship belt. We give out Snickers for big plays on special teams, or the special teams player of the week on our Monday meetings. So again, we're going to emphasize special teams as being important. Coaches, every coach in your program has to have a responsibility when it comes to special teams, okay? The only guys I really don't give that to is our offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, because I don't want them to cut time from special teams because they want to do offense or defensive things, okay? So, those are the only two guys I really don't. Usually our OC is our quarterback coach. That's traditionally how I've set it up. So, that would be the only other position coach I don't think needs to be involved in that, okay? You need to give out the roles and responsibilities early in your preseason meeting, and you need to go over those expectations. It's an opportunity for a young coach to really be a coordinator of something. Give them a unit. Maybe if they're not a position coach yet, give them a position to coach on the special teams, okay? Install. You got to always have an install schedule. We do one for fall camp. We do one for our 10-day camp. Whether that's scheme, situation, or drills. Like, what are we trying to get to from start to finish, and what are we trying to accomplish, okay? Meetings. We don't get a lot of time with special teams. For coaches, we're going to talk about it on Sunday game plan. The trick is that we want everybody on the same page, because we want to have a scheme that transcends week to week. Like, we don't try to game plan special teams too much. Now, I was at the college level, that's a little bit different. We want to try and make sure that we can cover all fakes, that we can align soundly, that we can take advantage of what they're doing with things we have built in already. We don't have enough time to scheme stuff up and go through it on a weekly basis, okay? For players, it says we meet every day for 10 minutes, whether that's film, install, or corrections, and that's become more difficult. So now a lot of times what we do is we may send stuff out, on film for them to watch the night before, all right? We try to meet with them early in the week, try to give my special teams coordinator a chance to meet with him later in the week at some point. He might get 10 minutes a week for meeting time, but early, in our in our 10-day camp and our summertime, we'll try to keep that more than 10 minutes if we can. And then one thing that we started doing that I think is gotten to be better is we kind of steal time. Instead of having a meeting at the start of practice, when our practices are done. So like if we practice on a Monday and Tuesday we know we're going to be running punt, what we'll do on a Monday is when practice is over, we broke, the team's gone. The guys that are part of punt on Tuesday, if our special teams coordinator and the guys that are on the punt team coaching want to get out there and walk through some stuff or install some stuff, they're already on the field. He'll hold those guys back for 5 or 10 minutes, steal some time, and talk about the things that we're doing in the next day. So we've at least introduced it before we go out on the field. So our special forces is what we call it. We're a big military school here. Okay. Our special forces philosophy here at FFC is we're going to take what our opponent gives us, okay? So again, going back to the philosophy of having a scheme that transcends week to week. What are they going to give us? We're going to exploit their tendencies. If we can find a tendency of how they're going to kick, or who they're trying to hide, or what they're going to try and do, we're going to try to exploit that as much as we can. Nobody, and we got it in red there, absolutely nobody is too good for special teams. You're a starter, you're eligible to be put in there. And if you're a backup, you're eligible to be put in there. We want the best guys that are going to help us win, that are dedicated to it. And we're going to compete and win in every phase of special teams, okay? And that looks differently, and we have some different metrics of doing that, okay? Here's an example of a sheet of organizing your special teams and your coaching responsibilities and who you're going to give that to, okay? So as you can see, every coach has something that they're doing. If they don't, they're either a O-line or D-line coach. But even those guys have some things when it comes to PAT and field goal. Okay, or they're guys that are the OC or DC, like I was talking about. Okay, this is again from a few years back. I also tell my ST coordinator, put me coaching a position on every special team so the kids know it's important, right? This year we didn't have to do that, this particular year I'm showing you now, but every year I try to make sure that I do, something with every special team, okay? Here's an example of some weekly goals that we've used before. You can have a lot of goals, you can have small goals and kind of what you're looking at. This is something that we've done to be a little bit more specific for each team. We've also looked about having something that's real general for special teams as well, so that we can actually, kind of talk about it as a whole. But some ideas for you here is you can look, one thing is always having perfect ball security, right? If we're on a punt team or if we're on a return unit, we want to be penalty free. 100% substitution is correct. Guys in and out, we don't want to be sitting there waiting on somebody, because, the PAT field goal team's out there, we're waiting on the right guard, okay? We don't want to be waiting on that. We want to successfully defend all fakes, and I think that really is a big one. We want to make sure that we can do that. We want to have 100% successful PAT kicks, okay? I think that's important. We want to try and have a game changer, where it's a score, set up a score, create a turnover, a block, a big return, guy getting a kickoff and pinning them inside the 5 or 10, that's a game changer to us, okay? Our punt team specifically averaged 34 net yards per punt or more, okay? Average 4 yards or less per return, all right? Punt return, we want to average 10 yards or more on a punt return. We want to get a first down before we actually have to get a first down. Kickoff, we want to try and keep everything inside the 20. It's a real easy metric. And kickoff return, we want to try and start beyond the 30 if we can. And that can be difficult at times, but we don't want to start where they're going to give us anyways. We want to be past that, okay? All right. Again, I'm not going to go through this particularly, but you guys can read that. The sideline procedures, I think, are really important. Like, we actually sat down and wrote up what the sideline procedures look like for our special teams units. Like, who's going where, which coach is saying it, where we're going to, how we're going to break it, and those types of things. And so you can see we did that. We go through this with the kids early on in fall camp. Like, this is what our sideline procedures look like. If we're backed up, if we're coming off of a punt, and who's in charge as a coach, what they're supposed to be doing. And so, again, how are we going to get from we just played offense, we just played defense, now we need to go and have a special teams play, all right? And we might have some guys that are out there playing already. We might have some guys that are on the sideline that are waiting to get on there. And what does that, what do they do based on the situation they're in, okay? Special teams kicking situation here, this kind of got formatted a little bit crazy here, but basically these are all situations that we're going to go through in our fall camp, okay, and throughout the year. And this is just a checklist, so you can kind of see, it got kind of messed up here, but punt, kickoff, PAT field goal, right? Punt, we want to know what pooch punt, coming out, taking a safety, fake punt, right? Again, we're just go through and we're going to check these off. PAT field goal, fakes, fire calls, all those different things. Kickoff return. What happens if we have a surprise onside or if an obvious onside kick, right? And our hands team is out there. We want to make sure we cover all those things with the kids a few times early on, okay? Okay, our kicking operation times. is, we want our kickoff hang time to be 4 seconds or less. Again, just our coverages, our punt long snaps. We want them from the time it's snapped to the punter in hand, about 0.75 seconds. Total operation time for a punt needs to be right at 2 seconds or less. Punt hang time needs to be about 4 seconds. And then for PAT field goal, we want to be in that second to second and a half or less, okay? So here's an example of an installation schedule for our special teams units, okay? This was kind of a fall camp from a few years back where when we're going to have a walkthrough and we're not, but again, it's just what are we trying to accomplish in practice and having a plan for it. It's nothing that anybody hasn't done for their offense or defense, but just taking that to special teams. So you make sure you hit on special teams. For us, we try to make sure we hit on 2 special teams a day throughout fall camp. Okay? So practicing special teams. So how do we do it? So in fall camp, we're going to work on base install. We're going to find our personnel. We're going to cover situations. And even before that, in the summer, we're going to run a lot of basic drills, okay? Depth chart-wise, we're going to start posting that in the locker room every day. We do something, we have kids highlight their name every day so we know they looked at it, all right? Each coach is going to have a depth chart in hand when they're out at practice, all right? And then we want to predetermine scout teams if we're going to use those at any point, because we will utilize those every now and then, all right? We want to script as much as we can for special teams because we limit the reps there. And then we try to do 15 to 20 minutes of special teams work every day, whether that's walkthrough, install, or drills and live reps, okay? And then you got to prioritize your practice minutes as you go through a game week. Punt, we try to go 15 to 20 minutes. Kickoff, 15 to 20 minutes. Punt return, about 15 minutes a week. Kickoff return, 10 to 15 minutes, again, even less more as the season goes on, and PAT field goal about 15 minutes per week. Okay, this is an example of a kick script, or basically just a script we would do on our specialist or our heavy special teams day. Everything's we're trying to work, situations, how we would call it. Again, nothing hasn't done before, but again, trying to be organized as we implement stuff. Again, this is our special teams depth chart, okay? This updates weekly. We tell the kids to check it every day. We post it in our locker room. Up on the whiteboard, we only post one. We put a highlighter next to it, and then my special teams coordinator checks it every day to make sure that they actually looked and they know where they're supposed to be, okay? Here's our special teams checklist script that we do and cover situations every Friday before a game. We've pared some of this down, but again, these are just different situations that we make sure the kids cover and know by the time we go to the game Friday, okay? So efficient special teams in practice. So a couple of things to think about. Special teams, we do all of them at the start of practice. We try to get them done early. We try to make sure that while we're doing those, kids are focused and they know it's important by putting it at the start of practice, okay? When we put it at the start of practice, we try to, while that stuff is going on, while special teams is going on at the start of practice, what we've learned to do is not just have everybody watching as like 11 kids are out there doing stuff. So what we do is if the kid is not in the 2 deep or on the JV of that special teams, okay, then they are off working either in doing pod work, or they're doing group work, or they're doing a walkthrough, or they're with their position coach doing review. I have some coaches that bring iPads out and they take their kids and they're showing them film if they couldn't show them film earlier that day. They're doing something. So if they're not involved in that special team, or we don't need them to give a look on something for a scout team or whatever, they are basically out there getting work in something else that they're doing, so that we don't have guys just standing around, okay? You don't always need to go 11 on 11 for all team reps, right? You can do half-line stuff. You can do a lot of that type of stuff. You can walk through it, okay? It doesn't always need to be 11 on 11 for all team reps, all right? You don't need to kick the ball each time when you're doing special teams. Like, we spend more time chasing balls around because we kicked it and the guy shanked it or whatever, okay? We don't need to do that, okay? If it's punt, return, and you got a scout punt team out there, then just have a coach toss the ball up to a kid, all right? Like, be efficient in that. So some efficient practice methods. For punt, do half-line protection drill. Do half-line hold-up for your punt team, or what we call, our punt return team is what we call our hammer unit, okay? All right, do half-line, all right? Walk through it, jog through it. Make sure they're targeting the right guys. That's more important than maybe just going full live, okay? Do a half-line cover for kickoff. We do that all the time. We'll go 1s, 2s, and 3s, right? 4s, 5s, and 6s. They go and it's just one group going as opposed to the whole 11 going. Okay? Do half-line kickoff return or have different groups go based on the return you're doing. You don't need to do all full 11 all the time. Something else that you can do for punt and punt return, we do a lot of 5 or 10 yard cover, so we're not running our kids to death for a 5-minute special teams period, right? So they snap the ball, they punt it, and they're going to get to their landmarks 5 to 10 yards down the field as fast as they can go. Pod and group works, and we do those types of things. And then we always, we do need to run live reps. So we always try to run at least 1 to 2 live reps in the script if we're going to be doing some of those other methods. Okay, so here are some effective special teams drills that I found that kind of transcend the different opportunities and the different things that you're going to do no matter what for special teams, okay? So the first thing is our special forces circuit. This is something we run early in camp. We do this in the summer. We do this in spring. These are just basic things that you need for any and all special teams. And it's really for us to help evaluate kids and how they move and if they're guys that we would like to use on special teams, okay? And so it's, again, with special teams, I'm a huge believer in circuit work because you don't have enough time to do everything, okay? And so we generally put them in by position or body type or whatever. And when we do these circuits early on, we make everybody do it. And then if we do these circuits as the season goes on, which as the season goes on, we do less and less circuits. But if we're to do these as the season's going on, these circuits become more geared towards the kids that are playing the position. So the first one is our general special forces circuit, okay? And again, we're wanting to see how kids move and run. So the first one is our hoops and block point. Everybody's done this before where we're going to have one guy really get off hard on a visual stimulus. He's going to turn the corner, bend, okay? Dip his shoulders, rip, come around, and he's going to take the ball off the top of the table, okay? We're not going to get high and extend. We're going to learn how to block a punt or block a kick by keeping it low. And again, we say scrape the top of the tablecloth, okay? To the block point, all right? And again, we're just seeing who can bend, who can move, okay? Who's long enough to do that, who's not going to shy away from blocking something, okay? And you can do it 2 different ways. Or actually a couple different ways. You can use a football and have a coach just kind of toss it as the kid comes through to block it. We've gotten those footballs on the stick where we've just kind of raised those up as the kids come through. We've used volleyballs, whatever, to have them get used to doing that. And the coaching point being is finish through the block point, lower your shoulder, and make sure you keep your hands low as you're coming through the block point, okay? The other one, station 2, is what we call lions and gazelles. We do this drill a lot. Okay, but basically it's going to be 3-on-1. We have a ball carrier, and this is all leverage tackling, right? The outside guys are keeping the ball on their inside hip, on their inside shoulder. They're going to near foot that, okay? We're a hawk tackling team, so we're talking near foot. And the middle guy is going to front the ball up, okay? And we want to make sure that we're working on vicing and vicing, okay? The ball carrier is going to start 2 yards. We got about a 10-yard window we're going to work there. So the ball carrier's starting 2 to 3 yards behind the 10-yard line, and the 3 defenders or cover guys are staying 3 yards to 5 yards back, and their goal is to go as fast as they can, gain ground, and vice the ball down as they're doing that, okay? And then station 3 is our leverage and balance drill. There's a lot of different things going on here. The first phase is we're going to have just kids run a line as fast as they can, then we want to see them stop with the proper leverage foot up, make sure that they can come to a balance without tripping over themselves, okay? All right, then the second phase that we do this, all right, is now we're going to have kids go to a specific direction as they come down. So now they're going to run down, and instead of stopping, okay, the coach is going to point to a direction. We want to see them change direction and finish through in the proper leverage foot, okay? So if I'm running down and the coach points to my right, I'm going to go and redirect. I'm going to stay in good leverage, good pad level, okay? And I'm going to start coming to balance and making sure I end with the proper leverage foot up, all right? Then the next part is, phase 3 is we're going to work on coming down hard, and now coach is going to point to cones that are at the side of it, and they're going to stick their foot in the ground, and we want to see them run hard and get to the cone, all right, in proper pursuit angle, all right? And that's a great drill for a lot of different things. We do that one throughout the summer. All right, and the last one's kind of a kickoff drop drill, and this one's really more to just see who can flip their hips, who can work angles with guys, who can get good aiming points and target points. The same one anybody else has done, about 5 yards apart. Okay, kickoff return guys on about the the numbers, kickoff guys on the sideline, kickoff guy is going to run hard down the line. Kickoff return guy is going to work on aiming point, doing what we call a J hook and making sure that they get proper aiming points on their hands, hat placement, all right, and they're riding guys out. All right. So our punt circuit, we have 2 series for this, okay? We have the first one where we're working on blocking, and then we have another one we're working on covering. So you can see these are all the different blocks that we've utilized at our guys. Fan blocks or down blocks, really the 1 or 2 things. And then releasing off of that block and then stacking the guy after they get through it. So those are all different ways we're going to work this, okay? So here's that. We got fan blocks there where we're going to have somebody who signifies who is the snapper, and we're going to spread those guys out. And again, guys, you can do this no matter what your scheme is, because no matter what your scheme is, you're going to be doing a fan block or a down block. So you can do this for a shield punt, you could do this for a pro punt, you could do this for a hybrid punt, kind of like what we run. So as you can see, this is the same circuit that I give my coaches. We print it out, their names are on it, they know what drills are on it. So, right? So the fan blocks, they're going to work on having a guy head up to outside of them and taking proper steps, proper aiming points, doing the same thing in the down block station. The guys are going to be head up to inside of them based on the call. Okay. Again, we're working something without having to go 11 on 11. Then we're working releases, so we're going to be fitted up with a guy. Okay. And now we have to work on, we fan blocked him, and now we got to get off and get into coverage. Okay. And that's usually just a 5-yard drill. So we're working on, rip and swim. We're working on push pull and getting off as quick as we can after we've heard the punt off. Okay. Then we have a stack, net and fold drill, okay? Now we're talking about, we've just got our release. That guy's on my hip. He's trying to block me now because the return's going, and now I got to work on stacking him or basically getting in front of him and making sure that he's chasing my jersey instead of, being right inside leverage on me. We want to make sure we release. We're going to stack back on top of that guy and make him have to work to get in front of me. Okay, so that's a day 1 install punt drill, punt circuit that we're going to do and touch base on a lot of times throughout the fall camp. Okay, our second punt circuit's about releases and actual coverage. Okay, so again, fan block releases, down block releases, stack drill, net and fold. Okay, so again, real similar to the drill to the circuit we saw before, but now it's more geared on releases. We're going to fit them up in the proper position, maybe put it together where they're going to actually block and release. On the fan block, same thing with the down block with the guy head up to inside of them, fan block head up to outside of them. Okay, stack drill, this is just us working on against the guy on, he's in my inside hip and I got to work to stack him. I got to work to keep stacking him without him getting me out of my coverage lane. And we're going to do that to a finish point. And then the net and fold drill is the same drill we did in the last circuit. We're working on, we were fitted up with the guy, and now we got to swipe and stack and get on top of him. Okay. This is kind of a full team drill. There's 2 variations of this here. All right. When we're teaching coverage lanes, okay, we're going to teach our kids, based on whatever punt is. I got it drawn up to shield punt. We're kind of a hybrid punt now, but it's the same deal. All right. If we were going to teach it, the very first day, we would do the one on the left there where we're working on fanning out, getting to our landmarks. We would get about 20 yards downfield, come to balance. Okay, the returner there is going to move back and forth, or you have a coach there pointing left and right, and the kids are going to shuffle, keeping it on their leverage foot or their leverage side so that they're always in leverage. Okay, our gunners for us, they're spill players, they're reckless players, so they go first. Okay, and then everybody else is the net or the fan. If you want to get it more competitive, which I highly suggest, there's a lot of ways to get these drills competitive. Okay, the one on the right there, I'm sure everybody's seen it, where you have the guards and the tackles kind of work around a cone or a trash can. Okay, and then when you blow the whistle, they got to all, basically based on where they're at, fan out. Make sure we have guys that are inside, guys that are outside, and guys that are kind of the force guys. All right, and they got to work their way to the returner. You can have them work, as you can see on there, to cones or landmarks the first couple times. And again, it's kind of a competitive drill to see who's the first guy out, and can they recognize and see where they need to go. So that's how we kind of teach punt coverage lanes. Okay, punt block circuit. So kind of our hammer circuit or our punt block circuit, some different things that we look at. Okay, again, teaching everything in circuits. This is anything that, okay, if we're on the hammer team, which is punt return for us, we're going to teach them how to block a punt, and we're going to teach them how to get in return phase. So this is our block party circuit. So again, we're going to run the hoops like we did in the first drill. Same coaching points: low, bend your shoulder, make sure you turn tight to the hoop. Okay, come across, get your hands down, scrape the table. Okay, then we have the chutes here where we're going to work underneath our table or our chute, okay, our trap chute is what we call it, and we got 2 lines going, and basically we want these guys to get off hard and low, and they're going to bend it like they're running the hoop, but they're working on staying low and not standing straight up to a block point, okay, and it's going to be right outside the table there, and they're working hard to a block point, same technique as the hoops, okay, but now we're just focusing on the get off and being low, okay. Then we just have a circuit there we're called block fundamentals or a drill where we're just literally going to slow down and teach them, okay, how do you hold your hands? Okay, overlapping hands, extending the arms out, not up, okay, and make sure your eyes are open on contact, okay? We want to make sure that we're closing our eyes so we don't see what's going on, okay? And then we do another one we call pop-ups where we're really working through. We see so much shield pump. We're working on, okay, if I'm, the middle guy's through, where am I hitting the shield? And how am I working through the shield to get to the block point, okay? Knowing that it's going to be 4-on-3 in most situations that we're trying to work. All right? We have a hammer circuit and an exposed drill, and I'll show that here in a second. So our hammer circuit, you can kind of see here, it looks like we had some of the formatting issues here again, but long story short, our hammer circuit, there's 3 drills here. We have our pin and wheel drill, okay? We have chew the hip, okay, which is down here. Okay, and we have our intersect drill. So our pin the wheel drill is down here. If you guys can see, that's the one that's in the end zone or the shaded area. And basically all pin the wheel is making sure that this is the attack phase of punt return. I'm one of the front line guys. I'm stepping across. Okay, I'm going to attack that guy. And then as he releases, I'm going to work to get into his hip pocket and get my eyes and my near hand in his hip pocket. That's pin and wheel. So I'm going to pin him by attacking him, and I'm going to let him wheel me around and get my eyes into his hip pocket, okay? Then down here, this one right here is our chew the hip drill. We see the 2 guys that's going there, and this is basically just like an old man coverage drill, where I'm going to be about 1 yard by 1 yard inside relationship. I'm the punt return guy. The punt guy's going to run. He's going to chop his feet and go down. To chop his feet and drop his hips. And every time he does that, I'm going to do that, meaning that I'm mirroring him or I'm chewing the hip, okay? And then our intersect drill here is the final phase of our hammer circuit or our punt return, okay? We're going to put a pop-up about 15 or 20 yards down the field. We're going to put basically 4 lines, 1 on each side of the pop-up, and those lines are going to be a punt return guy and a punt guy. And the punt return guy is going to beat the guy to the intersect point. I'm not going to chase him. I'm not going to chase him. I'm going to beat him to the pop-up, and then I'm going to try and throw my shoulder and basketball screen him, okay? And if I can get in front of him and wheel him out, then I'll do that as well, all right? So we're just teaching them aiming point and leverage in intersect, okay? Here's what we call our hammer exposed drill. This is a drill that we can do that's a competitive drill. We get the guys out there that are our front line punt guys. Then we get the guys out there that are our front line hammer or punt return guys, and we just go right down the line. We go in this order. Wide receivers and corners go first. We put a returner or a pop-up about 30 yards down the field, and those guys are working against each other. They're working whatever punt technique we're telling them to work versus whatever hammer technique we're telling them to work, and they're working it, and we're going winners and losers. And then we go tackles, okay? Then we go guards, all right? And then we start it over again. And we film this, and we see who is the best at stacking guys and beating them, who's the best at pinning guys out, wheeling them and chewing the hip and beating them to the intersect point. So it's taking all those drills that we just did and putting them together, okay? So here's a couple more punt versus hammer drills that we really believe in, that are competitive drills that we try to focus on, okay? So the first one is called pride drill. We tell them to go earn the belt. And this is really similar to the hammer exposed drill, but it's in a one-on-one setting. So you can see we have the brown circles signified the punt team, okay, and the yellow circles signified the hammer or punt return team, and they can line up in any one of those 4 areas, and their goal is that they're going to basically pin and wheel and work that guy, chew the hip, beat him to the intersect point 30 yards down the field. Okay, the brown circles are going to use any release we've taught them, and their goal is to keep working, stacking all the way down to try and touch the cone again. And we'll just go right. Sometimes we go all 4 together. Sometimes we go this guy goes, this guy goes, this guy goes, all the way down. Okay, really depends. And a lot of times we like to create matchups, right? We'll say this guy's going against this guy. We want to see who can really be that guys we're looking for on those teams. Okay. Another one called Trojan on Trojan. All right, this is punt versus punt defense oriented drill, okay? We always want to have a winner and loser in this drill, all right? And so this one's kind of, the focus is on taking a good step and working your punt protection, all right? And then the defensive perspective is you're really trying to work on getting off, having pad level, finishing through the block point. So this is a competitive punt protection and punt block drill. So this is what it looks like, okay? And so you can see here, we'll align them in any different way. We'll give our punt team a protection call for us, red or blue, and then we tell our hammer team they can line up in any way they want. We're going to put the ball 14 yards back there. We'll go half line just like this, and we'll go 2 versus 2, all right? And we'll say, hey, punt team, your job is to keep them out. Hammer team, your job is to get to a block, and we time it based on what we think should be the time that we get the punt off, right? We talked about that at the start. We want the punt off, right, in 2 seconds or less. So we're going to go 2 seconds. If they don't get to the block point in 2 seconds, the punt team wins. If they get there in 2 seconds, hammer team wins. It's a competitive drill to work your punt protection. Again, not always having to go 11 on 11, all right? Here's some kickoff drills, all right? This one's an old button press drill, real good drill for working avoid, okay, and stun and locate the ball, right? And we do this early in camp. Okay, these X's signify a player, and they're going to basically just turn their body left or right. The kickoff guys right here are going to be running on the line. If that guy turns, whatever way, I'm going to attack his butt side and restack the line. That's why we work on a line. And then down here we have coaches holding bags. The kids are going to stun the bags, locate the ball, come off of it, and make sure that they attack the ball with their leverage side foot up. Always talking leverage side, right? And so the biggest thing with this is that this is really what kickoff is in our scheme. If you're a 3 to the opposite 3, right? You're an interior guy, you're going to be working this. You're going to avoid early and attack late, right? The red bags are the wedge guys. The front line guys are the guys that are trying to block you early in the down, right? So we're going to get down there. We're going to avoid. We're going to stack. We're going to make them chase us. Then we're going to attack late, come off, shed, make sure we shed to the side the ball carrier's going. We're going to make sure we attack with our leverage side. Here's a contain drill for your ones or whoever your contain guys are in your kickoff. Real simple. Put them wherever they're going to be located in your scheme, okay, and have them work on, basically, we put kind of a landmark about 25, 30 yards down the field. They're going to work on what we call trimming the fat. So they're going to work up the field, and then as the ball carrier declares left or right, they need to adjust their path, all right? They need to adjust their path either way to either, if it's coming to me, keep my leverage on him, basically my outside arm free, forcing him back inside, okay? But I want to do it tight to that landmark or to that cone or to that bag that I have there and make him try to cut it up early. If I'm the backside guy, the ball carrier goes away from me, I want to go around that pad. I want to make sure that I go around the pad or that cone or that coach or whoever's standing there as tight as I can, and I want to bend it aggressively and chase him down from the backside at a tight angle, okay? We don't want to loop. We don't want to have bananas on the backside. We want to go hard and tight, be an extra fitter that they don't account for. Okay? Then we have what we call the split and feather drill. This is now taking your ones, who are your contained guys, and your twos, for us, who are our safeties, right? We try to layer our kickoff team with at least 2 layers of where we can. So for us, our ones and our contained guys and our twos are our safeties. So we just work. It's the same drill as the contained drill for the ones. The twos, on the other hand, are going to be our guys that they're going to get a hard burst for about 25 yards. They're going to start to slow up and feather down and make sure that they put themselves in a position by folding in to be the extra guy. Or if the ball gets spilled, they're going to be the guy that runs it down to the sideline, right? And so unique to our scheme, what we do is we add 2 blockers there with the ball carrier as they're working their landmarks. If the blockers go attack the one on whatever side he is, that one is going to spill the ball right now and go attack both blocks because we have the guy over the top that's going to fit it, just like we would do if we were a defensive scheme, okay? And so that's what's signifying over here with the 1 and 2. The 1 is coming. Both blockers are coming to him. I'm going to spill it, attack the wedge or the kickouts. The 2 is going to fall over the top. On the backside, the 1 is cutting that angle hard, like we talked about, aggressively. And our 2 now is becoming a long fold guy where he's going to start folding in like he normally would. ball's going backside, he wants to track the near hip of the ball carrier, okay, but he's doing it in a long manner. Okay, here's how we teach kickoff, okay, in our kickoff circuit, right? We're going to work our takeoff drill. We're literally just running as hard as we can, working on timing it up with the kicker, and that we're attacking the line, and there's no air in the line as we take off, and we're going to sprint hard for 10 yards. Our key drill, if you're a kickoff team that reads keys, we used to do that. We don't do it as much anymore, but we'll give them whatever key we want them to read. Basically, we're working on, as I'm working upfield and the front line starts to squeeze inside of me, I'm going to squeeze inside with them. If the front line is getting depth, I'm going to keep working up the field, okay? And trying to make sure that they understand who's trying to attack them, okay? Then we do a button shed and tackle. Now this is, again, more aggressive. We try to work this in a kind of a closed, confined area. This is more the second half of the kickoff phase, where we're going to work on sticking our foot in the ground, splitting the kickoff return guy, button, shocking, and shedding based off where the returner goes. Those cones are maybe 3 to 5 yards apart max. And then they're going to attack, rip off, and get in good leverage tackle fit up. Okay? Our speed and arm over tackle, all that is working the front half of the drill now, where we're going to beat that guy with speed. We're still going to keep those cones 3 to 5 yards apart, but instead of trying to butt and shed him, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work to arm over him or beat him with speed butt side in that cone to go make the tackle. Okay, so we have one where we're going to attack, and we're going to attack and shed, and then we have one where we're going to try to work with beating with speed or beating butt side. Okay, this drill is a competitive drill, the strike force drill. All this is taking kickoff, and then the techniques we learn in kickoff return, and working it in a one-on-one manner, where the kickoff guy and the kickoff return guy, the kickoff guy is working to a returner, okay, trying to tackle him in a confined space here, about 10 yards between them, okay, and now the kickoff return guy is going to drop, do his J hook, all right, and now he's working on trying to get in front of that guy and wheel him out, while the kickoff guy is trying to beat him front side, okay, and this is a competitive one-on-one drill, okay. Here's a drill that we work on. It's called Trap the Eagle. It's very similar to lions and gazelles, okay? We make this a big deal throughout fall camp, but again, it's just working 3-on-1 tackle, working leverage, working on taking the line. You can see there on this diagram, there's a blue dot line that says goal. The goal is the ball carrier wants to get across that line. The defenders don't want him to get across that line, but the defenders have to cross that line to really be successful, okay? Then we have, one thing that I think is always difficult is how do you work kickoff and kickoff return safely? It gets really difficult to do, especially late in the year, 11-on-11. So, one drill we love to do is this 3-on-3 drill, which is a competitive drill. It's about 35 yards in length by about 20 yards in width. Okay, it's 3-on-3. The X's there are the kickoff return guys, and the blue dots there are the kickoff guys. You have one returner, okay? And basically, again, we're working depth, we're working J hooks, okay? And the kickoff guys are working to beat him, all right? We time it up with the returner, so he's not getting the ball and going off right away. He's acting like he's fielding the kick, all right? And then, again, this is just like Oklahoma, but in the kickoff standpoint, where they're going to be working in a confined setting on the techniques that we've just practiced. If you wanted to add a safety, you could add a safety here for the kickoff team to make it 4 versus 4. All right, and that safety would be, a guy that's maybe off to the side, and you have him work on folding in. Okay, some kickoff return drills. Okay, we keep it pretty simple. Kickoff return is very simple for us. We have 1, maybe 2 schemes. All right, we're going to work on a mirror drill, collision and shadow, drops, and a combo drill. Right, so mirror drill is just old mirror dodge drill. Cones are 5 yard apart. Kickoff guy's going to shuffle back and forth and do some wiggle, while the kickoff return guy is going to be in a good position, square stance, and on that near hip and mirroring his movement, okay? Our collision and wall drill, all right, is basically working as I'm going to make contact with the kickoff guy 30 yards down the field. How am I going to do that? So we can find the settings 5 yards apart, okay, and you just work on your squared up. That guy's going to pick a side, and you're going to attack his hip and ride him out, okay? Our drop drill is basically just working on your drops, getting good depth, making sure you know where the return is. A lot of times this is just a walkthrough drill, okay? Where we're just walking through, getting good depth, knowing where the kickoff guy is, knowing if I can either if I can either ride him out or if I have to spin backside, and if he's trying to attack my butt side, if I have to wheel back and then ride him out that way, okay? And then combo drill is taking collision drill and drop drill and putting them together and doing it in a competitive way so those guys don't, again, kickoff guy will try to hit the cones, kickoff return guy, keep them away from that, okay? And so those are all good drills to do. We usually won't add the combo drill until we've done those other drills a few times. All right, so my final thoughts on special teams, you got to make it important. For us, we do the championship belt. All right, our special teams player of the week carries out the flag on a Friday night. We have flags that we go out with, and one of them is special teams guy. We give Snicker bars for big plays. An idea, I've never done this, but I have a friend you can't play varsity position until you play an ST position. I don't know if any of us can afford to do that sometimes, but that's an idea for some of you guys if you're having trouble getting buy-in. Coaches have to be on the same page, and you have to coach enthusiastically when you're doing special teams, okay? You got to be organized. You cannot cut practice time of special teams. And you got to keep it simple. Play flat, playing fast, and let your athletes make plays. And when I say keep it simple, like kickoff, we have one scheme. The kids do the same thing all the time. Kickoff return, we have one main scheme and a changeup. Okay, not to mention the hands teams and the onside team. Right? Our punt schemes probably our most complicated. We have some calls and checks, but it's fairly simple for our kids now that we've done it for a few years. Our hammer team, we line up the same way all the time. Okay, and we get different looks off of it. And we can block if we want, we can return if we want to, but it's the same alignment generally every time. Okay, PAT field goal and field goal block, okay, is going to be pretty simple for us as well, okay? And you got to make sure your players understand why you're doing and drilling special teams, all right? So again, I really appreciate it. Appreciate the guys at Chiefs Pigskin for filming and being part of letting me do this. You guys ever need anything for special teams, you want more on what we do schematically, okay, I'll be glad to help you guys with that. Please give me a call. A couple of the slides had some technical issues, so if you want those slides particularly to see what it looked like, please let me know. I'd be glad to give those to you guys. You can have this presentation, email me, whatever you want to do, okay? Again, thanks again, and if you guys need anything, Found for Carson is always open to you.